Preface of Expository Thoughts on the Gospel of St. Matthew. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by MaryAnn. Expository Thoughts on the Gospel of St. Matthew by J.C. Ryle. Preface. In sending forth the first volume of a new expository work upon the Gospels, I feel it necessary, in order to prevent misapprehension, to offer some explanation of the character and design of the work. The Expository Thoughts, which are now before the reader, are not a learned, critical commentary. I do not profess to expound every verse of the Gospels, grapple with every difficulty, attempt the solution of every hard text, and examine every disputed reading or translation. The Expository Thoughts are not a continuous and homiletic exposition, containing practical remarks on every verse, like the commentaries of Brentius and Gualter. The plan I have adopted in drawing up the Expository Thoughts is as follows. I have divided the sacred text into sections or passages, averaging about 12 verses in each. I have then supplied a continuous series of short, plain expositions of each of these passages. In each exposition I have generally begun by stating as briefly as possible the main scope and purpose of the passage under consideration. I have then selected 2, 3, or 4 prominent points in the passage, singled them out from the rest, dwelt exclusively on them, and endeavored to enforce them plainly and vigorously on the reader's attention. The points selected will be found to be sometimes doctrinal and sometimes practical. The only rule in selection has been to seize on the really leading points of the passage. In style and composition, I frankly avow that I have tried, as far as possible, to be plain and pointed, and to choose what an old divine calls picked and packed words. I have striven to place myself in the position of one who is reading aloud to others, and must arrest their attention if he can. I have said to myself in writing each exposition, I am addressing a mixed company, and I have but a short time. Keeping this in view, I have constantly left unsaid many things that might have been said, and have endeavored to dwell chiefly on the things needful to salvation. I have deliberately passed over many subjects of secondary importance, in order to say something that might strike and stick in consciences. I have felt that a few points, well remembered and fastened down, are better than a quantity of truth lying loosely and thinly scattered over the mind. A few footnotes explaining difficult passages have occasionally been added to the exposition. I have thought it good to add these notes for the information of readers, who may feel a wish to know what can be said about the deep things of Scripture, and may have no commentary of their own. If the reading public should ever demand another edition of the work, the number of these footnotes will probably be much increased. I cannot, of course, expect that the opinions expressed in these expositions, whether about doctrine, practice, or prophecy, will be satisfactory and acceptable to everyone. I can only say I have spoken out freely and kept back nothing that seemed to me true. I have set down nothing but what I conscientiously believe to be the real meaning of the inspired writer and the mind of the Spirit. I have always held that truth is most likely to be reached when men on all sides conceal nothing but tell out all their minds. Right or wrong, I have endeavored to tell out my own mind. It is my firm conviction that I have said nothing in these expositions which is not in perfect harmony with the 39 Articles of my own Church, and does not agree in the main with all the Protestant confessions of faith. The words of an old divine will explain the kind of theology to which I ever desire to conform. I know no true religion but Christianity, no true Christianity but the doctrine of Christ, his divine person, Colossians 1:15, his divine office, 1 Timothy 2:5, of his divine righteousness, Jeremiah 23:6, and of his divine Spirit, which all that are his receive, Romans 8:9. I know no true ministers of Christ but such as make it their business, in their calling, to commend Jesus Christ, in his saving fullness of grace and glory, to the faith and love of men.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?